know sometimes we get impatient, even though you promise you would never leave me alone. It's like I'm tired of waiting. The beginning's working, so I know I gotta wait on it. You see the world thinks we're crazy, but if they only knew it's never according to his word, you would know that you're worth saving. So in the end it's working, so I know I gotta wait on it.
He holds my hand. When the hands on the clock won't hand me another second, 1 minute till eternity, I'm tired of waiting. And this journey is only on purpose, and this wait has proven to be worth it.
I know sometimes we get impatient, even though you promise you would never leave me alone.
What's up? I'm Chosen.
And I'm Valentina, and together we are Hymns and Metaphors.
And you're watching Outspoken with Hymns and Metaphors. Bringing the
Kingdom to the culture. Shout out to WYTV7 for having us and seeing our vision and having us on their network. We're just so excited to be here and just really grateful for where God is taking us and where he's taking our vision. And so tonight we have a really exciting show for y'all, don't we?
Yeah, we do. Tonight, we're going to be talking about dating versus courting.
Dating versus courting.
Yeah, and that's something that I realized that is really different than what I expected it would be.
Yeah, I mean, in my whole life, I thought of courting as like what they did in like the 50s. You know what I'm saying? Like something my grandparents did, they courted each other. But, that's old school and we don't really do that anymore. Mm-hmm. But, once we kind of got saved and we started learning the God way, that's really where we learned the difference. And because our brand that we're trying to bring to you guys is bringing the kingdom to the culture, that's why we think this is a great topic, because dating is a huge thing in the culture right now. If you're not married, or even if you are married, you dated to get married, so we think that this is really important for all you singles out there, or people who are in the dating life, or even people who are married and, want to be able to help other people out there who are single, to really just know the difference between what is dating and then what is kingdom dating, or as you would say, courting.
Well, yeah, well, a little bit about me first. Before I started my walk, the whole dating thing, I don't even want to say I really dated. I didn't date. I just
he was a player.
I just met people and that was it. You know what I'm saying? So as I started my walk and I realized that courting was preparing for marriage. Mm-hmm. Now, that was a whole nother level type of thing for me because, like I said, I didn't even date. So to start my walk and then, hear how when you meet someone, or when the Lord allows you to meet someone, allows you with someone that might be the one, you court them, and it's kind of like steps to it.
Mm-hmm. That's a good way to put it.
Yeah, like it's like steps to it. And so I want to say that I guess I kind of started backwards, maybe. Because like I said, I didn't date, so I just learned how to court, and I knew that it was for a purpose. That's one of the most important things. Starting my walk, I knew that courting was for a purpose to get married, and it's just a whole different approach to it, and that's just what I had to learn. So,
but see, he says he didn't date, but in actuality, that's what a lot of people think of as dating, just hanging out with a girl once or twice and then it being over. Or even in the girl's mind, he may have thought they weren't dating, but the girl may have thought they were dating, because us women, we grow attachments, especially if we give our body to the man. We grow attachments to them, and we have this hope of, well, maybe he wants me like I want him, or maybe this can go further if I just give him what I think he wants. And that's really where I was in my life. When I was dating, I was out there in the world, and I was meeting guys at the club, or I was meeting them online. Yes, did a lot of online dating, okay? I wouldn't really suggest it to people, but there are a lot of people that have some great stories, you know, that have come from that. My mom and my stepdad met online, so, you know, it works. But that's how I was meeting men. And I was really scared to even tell them at first that I was looking for marriage one day, because that was like something that would run them off. Like, oh no, she's trying to move too fast. I just met her. I don't even know her like that. I don't even know if I want to get married. That's how you felt. You didn't even know if you want to get married. I mean, how would you have felt if some girl on your first date was like, so I'm trying to get married, what's up? Right. So when you're dating in the world, it's like, it's number one, it's self-pleasure. You're trying to get out of someone else what you want. It's not really about making them happy or giving to them or pleasing them. It's more so, I have a need that I need filled, whether it's sex, whether it's loneliness, whether it's companionship. It's a need that I have. And this person, he or she's cool, kind of attractive. We can laugh together. We can go to the club together. This is someone who I could spend time with for now until they get on my nerves, right? But then once they get on my nerves, then I can just say deuces and be out. And that's the world of dating. I've had my heart broken so many times just because I got on somebody's nerves. But let me tell you something. I get on his nerves all the time, but he can't leave anymore. So, but what about like when you met me? How was that different?
It was different because in a way, I got confirmation from the Lord. You know, I used to pray all the time, and I find myself asking and praying for the wrong things. And I feel like that's kind of what a lot of people do. You know what I'm saying? When we pray for the wrong things sometimes. And, you know, that's really
self-gratification.
Yeah, it's really not what the Lord wants. So he's not going to give that to you.
Right.
So what I would pray for, before I lead into that, what I would pray for is just, you know, just selfish things. You know, I don't want her to look like this, to have this, to be able to bring this to the table because I'm bringing this to the table. And, you know, I always got the short end of it.
Because you had a lot going for yourself.
And it never worked.
Right.
You know, so, which brings me to when I started to change my prayer life, or alter some things in my prayer life. Instead of asking for what she had or for her to look a certain way, the number one thing I asked for was that she loved the Lord. And once I did that, you know, and I kept doing it, I kept praying about it. It didn't happen overnight, but I always used to say, look, Lord, just let her love you so that it can help me in my walk. Because if not, then I'm gonna fall short.
Right.
So and he did the rest, and he gave me exactly what I prayed for. And like I said, going back to what you asked, I got confirmation from it. I got confirmation, and it was just something telling me to just continue to move forward. And even our conversations were just things that, you know, you were confirming that I had already prayed for.
Wow.
So
what about like your mindset going into it? Like, let's talk about how, you know, your mindset when you were in the dating world, and then when you had to kind of change your mindset to even date me.
In the dating world, again, it was just about selfish things. And also in the dating world, you know, you're thinking about the end result as a young man, is you know, getting, you know, doing your thing. You know what I'm saying? So that's
just
not,
being real.
Right. That's not the way to go, you know, when you're trying to do things the right way.
Right.
So that was a big thing for me.
Yeah.
And I respected that. I respected you even more because we had the same mindset regarding that.
Yeah, as far as waiting.
Yeah, as far as waiting. So
nice. So when I met him, I already knew what I have wanted I had a list of things that I prayed for. And, you know, one of those things was that he have a strong heart for God, you know, that he is willing to wait for sex till marriage, you know, all of these things. And that, you know, we had the same mindset of looking towards marriage, you know, in the future. Because one of the things that I would say all the time is, I'm not going to be somebody's girlfriend again. Like, that's just not something that I wanted to do. The next boyfriend that I said that I had was going to be someone that I was talking about marrying. Because I didn't have, you know, I'm 36 now. I was 34 when I met you. You know, I didn't have any more time to just play this dating game and see if he's cool and see if he's cool. You know, I had made up my mind, and I wasn't going to do that anymore. And so when I met you, I mean, on our first date, I sat him at the table, y'all, and I said, look, I know we're just on our first date, but I'm trying to get married. And if that's not something that you're looking for, then we might as well just end this right here. And he was kind of like, oh, okay. And it didn't scare him. It might have a little bit. It might have been like a jolt, you know, but it didn't scare him off, because that's a man of God, because he knew the God way. He knew that it's not okay to just play with this girl's heart, because eventually I want to be married too, even though it was something new for the both of us. We had never dated to marriage before. So, you know, it was a whole process to us. But we came at it with the right mindset, and we both had the right mindset. And so, you know, just to kind of to wrap up what courting really is it's a purpose. Going into it with a purpose, making sure that you both have the mindset of the end goal in mind, having a purpose for your relationship. For us, it was having like a ministry together, having a faith-based thing together, so that, you know, we could go out and do our talents together. That really brought us closer, because we had that purpose together.
And besides that, another thing would be just fully trusting the Lord and making sure that He's involved, making sure that He is the foundation of whatever you're doing. Not just in a relationship, just in general. But yeah, just fully trusting in the Lord, because you're going to need the discernment, you know, so you don't waste your time with people who don't have the same mindset as you do.
And trusting that He knows what you need. Because I'll tell you right now, the vision that I had for my husband, I mean, David has a lot of those things, but God knew what I needed that I didn't even know what I needed. Just like, you know, his calm demeanor, because I can get really rowdy sometimes and do too much, you know, but He calms me down. Like, how would it be if we were both like rowdy all the time, you know? But I didn't know that. That's not something that I even prayed for. Lord, give me a husband with a calm demeanor. I never prayed for that, but God knew that I needed that in someone. Another thing I can think of is I'm the type of person who makes rash decisions. I like to, you know, right? Yeah, I do. When I have an idea, it's like, do it now. Let's get it done. Do. And He's like, wait, we need to think about this. Have you researched this? Let's take our time. You know, and again, that's not something I even prayed for, but God knew what I needed. And so the whole trusting thing is just trusting that God knows what you need. And I guarantee you, you will have that feeling of comfort. There will be a comfortable feeling inside when you know that you are doing when you are accepting the gift that God is giving you, that you're not fleshly taking on a gift. And that's really the last thing that I think is so important with courting, is making sure that you're not letting your flesh control your decisions. Because in the dating world, flesh is the number one thing. Is he attractive? Does he look good? Can he satisfy me? Right? Or she? But in the kingdom world, when you're courting, it can't be about the flesh, because really you should be waiting for that anyway. It needs to be about the mind. It needs to be about the soul, about the spiritual connection. Are you equally yoked? That's more important than can he satisfy me in bed. And let me tell you, if you trust God, God will give you what you need in that aspect. Trust and believe. But that's the whole trusting thing. You have to put it in God's hands and listen for that discernment and that confirmation. So we hope that you guys learned a little bit today about dating versus courting. I will say that, we've only been married for like 4 months now. So we don't have all the answers about marriage.
Right.
But
we're not pros.
Not pros at
we
marriage.
haven't wrote any books or anything like that. Anybody that has, kudos to you.
Right.
But we all live in testimony.
Yes.
And I know that for a fact.
Yes.
Because we just got out of that. We only been married 4 months.
Right.
Before that, we had to wait.
Right.
And go through the things that, we're discussing today.
Right. We dated for a long time.
Yes.
The wrong way. And, even when I gave my life to Christ, I still dated sometimes, but there was never that comfortable feeling, that confirmation. It was always something that was a question in my mind. But with him, there was never a question. It was never a doubt. It was always yes. It was always okay. It was always comfortable. And so that's what you need to look for when you're looking for that man of God or that woman of God. Pray about it and just get that confirmation from God. Right? So as we promised on the last episode, we said that at the end of each episode, we were going to do either a song or a poem. And if you didn't watch last week's episode, you need to, because we talked about who we were, and we introduced how we kind of got into the game, I guess you could say, into the Christian rap and spoken word game. So please go take a look at that if you haven't. It will be on the WYTV7.org broadcasters page, so make sure you go and check that out. But last week, we did the debut of his song, The Right Price, and super dope song. If you haven't heard it, make sure you go again, check out the video. But this week, I guess it's my turn, right? It's my turn to do a poem. So I was trying to think about what poem would be the best to go with this topic. And I decided that I was going to do a poem that I actually did on another interview with the Poetry Worldwide interview. So if you watch that video, then you will have already heard this poem, but that's okay because I'm sure you want to hear it again. But if you haven't watched it, then here you go, your first chance to hear it. This poem is called Her, and it's actually a story about me. And I call it Her, but it's really what happened to me and kind of what I went through in my dating life and in my not respecting my body and just giving it to anybody just because I thought that's what they wanted. But then finally to realize in the end that, God loves me unconditionally and he's the only one that can really fulfill that void that I had in my life. So, you ready? Okay. So I knew this girl once. She was the type to always smile, but held her frown close to her heart. Her heart had so many bumps and bruises that the new scars didn't even hurt anymore. She played the role of a happy life, but her eyes told stories most of you would not understand, and she knew she was beautiful, but she held her value in her purse and allowed even the most obvious of robbers to run off with her goodies. This was the type of girl that was sure she had it all under control, was sure she held the leash around her heart with a tight enough grip not to let it run off with the strays because she was comfortable just having fun and wasn't looking for love anyway, not realizing that every time she rented out her body, a piece of her soul was sold and never returned. And every time she opened up her legs, she got what she wanted for the night. But those early morning walks of shame down the hallways of what's-his-names only led her to locked doorways and empty stairways where she found herself alone again. alone again, crying again, wondering why no one loved her like she felt she deserved, why no one ever wanted to keep her even after she thought she gave them what they wanted, why the pictures in her mind never matched the scroll through her reality bites, or why she could never find the right filter to filter herself out of her own selfies, and why everyone else's newsfeed sang of a love song, yet her chorus was just a broken record of single one-hit wonders. You know, she swore she could sing, but no one ever wanted to listen. Sometimes I wish she would have listened. Sometimes I wish I could go back and tell her that he won't love you just because you give him your body, and you won't love you the next morning either. Tell her that being number one, it's not worth it, because that means there is a number two, and you are worth being the only 1, 2 a.m. text messages do not mean he loves you, only that he thinks of you in the dark and doesn't see your light. Tell her moving in together will not bring the relationship to the next level, and playing wife will not magically turn him into a husband. I wish I could tell her that one day God will send your knight in shining armor and you won't have to fight this war anymore. That he will love you just the way you are, even with every scar, and will value you more than you ever valued yourself. That your body will be the gift he receives after bringing you to the altar, because you are worth the weight. The weight of your past will never outweigh what you deserve, and you will get what you deserve. I wish I could tell her that none of this will ever happen until she first learns to love herself. Until she first learns of an unconditional love that has been with her all along. Only then will she realize her true beauty. I wish I had told her, but I didn't. So that's why I'm telling you, so that girl I once knew never has to be you. Okay, guys, thanks. Thanks, babe. So we hope you enjoyed it. We hope you enjoyed our conversation.
Yes.
Make sure you tune in every first and third Thursday, 9 p.m. Shout out WYTV7 again. We love y'all.
Love y'all.
Peace and blessings.
Go.
Libby.
I was addicted to the fame and the bright lights. Now I wake up every day tryna be like Christ. Could have been out of here, I had to get my life right. He paid the cost and I'm so glad it was the right price. It was the right price, so glad it was the right price. Now I wake up every day tryna be like Christ. Could have been out of here, I had to get my life right. He paid the cost and I'm so glad it was the right price. We should be grateful already, cause he died on the cross for our sins. Pray for it and just watch how we start breaking chains. You don't need a locksmith. I want the bad chicks in the cockpit, or the drop six with the top miss. Now I reel them in with the hooks, put them with the lines, shows he done started fishing. But so that is, and it's all because you rose, you did. Used to be about the shows, now it's about the faith, like shorty that's close to big. The lead told me to get him, I got him at 16, I knew I was a problem. Talk about our Rick Middles, quit lying on the king, Kuna Matai. And after word off of his glory, I promise it's not mine. Cause he showed me the ropes like a rock climb. Never pulling strings, but my knot's tied, so I didn't sign on the dot line. God saved me from destruction, cause I was blind but still had my eyesight. Store your treasures up in heaven, you don't need a game show to tell you that's the right price. To the fame and the bright lights. Now I wake up every day tryna be like Christ. Could have been out of here, I had to get my life right. He paid the cost and I'm so glad it was the right price. It was the right price, so glad it was the right price. Now I wake up every day tryna be like Christ. Could have been out of here, I had to get my life right. He paid the cost and I'm so glad it was the right price.
Okay. Now you could have money like the Rothschilds and be handing up the bread like it's my scale. But what good is having fettuccine in your stockpiles if they let it steam in your face like a hot towel? See, that's the reason me and my partners hit the block with all the 9 sparkers. Give them truth with no side offers, cause the price is right worth the bar barker. See, he's the finisher and my author. Go against a man, why bother? You machete swing or you let it sing and still kiss the ring of my godfather. So yes, I'ma scream out the Yeshua sage. Without all my tools on the minimum wage. No matter how rich the kid, ain't nobody else plug walk out of that grave. Our debt has been paid. See, we were headed for eternal misery. We wasn't in the books, but now we getting free. Cause Jesus covered our mission.
I was addicted to the fame and the bright lights. Now I wake up every day trying to be like Christ. Could've been out of here, I had to get my life right. He paid the cost and I'm so glad it was the right price. It was the right price, so glad it was the right price. Now I wake up every day trying to be like Christ. Could've been out of here, I had to get my life right. He paid the cost and I'm so glad it was the right price. Had to figure out a game plan when I taught the guy how to huddle up. Suggestively put me in the game. You ain't got no choice but to turn me up. God, he has been so good to us. Even when I used to sell rock for that paper, sisters had to cut it, bro. Some of God's grace is sum it up. Because we covered in his blood, yeah. Even when we think we're useless. Unconditional, this is love. So it don't even matter, he can use you. Remember when I started rapping gospel, they ain't really wanna get to know me. I ain't worried, God said I know the plans that I have for you is what he told me. I remember days when I had no pot to piss in, but I kept praying about it, I was optimistic. Enemies gonna still chose not to listen. Now I'm itching to help make a difference. I feel like Ali, Mike Tyson in his prime. All the Bulls in 95, Jordan, Pippen, Dennis Rodman. I was addicted to the fame and the bright lights.